Hello, and welcome to Crimson Rain. This is a summary of the Mount Yujin arc of Tianguan Sifu, Heaven Official's Blessing. Xie Lian arrives in the upper court of heaven and is greeted by a civil guard named Ling Wen. Ling Wen tells him that his ascension has caused an earthquake that destroyed the palace of an official named General Nanyang and toppled a bell on another official named General Xuanzhen. Xie Lian joins the communication array used by the guards to talk to each other and recognizes these two officials as his past companions, Fengxin and Mu Qing. The three of them had cultivated together in their youth, but both had abandoned Xie Lian when he was banished for the first time. Although Mu Qing had abandoned him immediately, Fengxin tried to stay with Xie Lian, but also eventually ended up leaving. Both are now gods in their own right. Their first encounter after 800 years is awkward, and Xie Lian quickly exits the communication array. Xie Lian is told that the price to repair the palace that was destroyed is 8,880,000 merits. As Xie Lian currently has no believers, he has no means of paying this back. The next day, Ling Wen tells Xie Lian that she has an assignment for him from the heavenly martial emperor that can help him earn these merits. Xie Lian is to descend to the mortal realm to investigate a case of disappearing brides in Mount Yujin in the north. Xie Lian is currently powerless, so he and Ling Wen go to the communication array to ask if anyone would be willing to accompany him on his mission. No one volunteers, so Xie Lian departs for the mortal realm alone. After arriving in the mortal realm, Xie Lian goes to a tea shop to read through the details of the case. Upon sitting down, he sees a beautiful silver butterfly. The butterfly, translucent and crystalline, rests for a moment on Xie Lian's finger, then flies off. Xie Lian is then greeted by two officials from the middle court, Nan Feng from the palace of Nanyang and Fu Yao from the palace of Xuanzhen. Both look unhappy to be on this mission, but insist that they came willingly. Xie Lian lets them stay to help and explains the mission to them. Ling Wen's palace have theorized that the brides are being kidnapped by a ghost groom. The three spend the night at a temple of Nanyang, where we learn that General Nanyang is rumored to have a big dick. General Xuanzhen is insulted by brooms, and Xie Lian is happy to eat food off of the floor. In the shrine, Xie Lian is forced to remove his outer robe to help a woman who has entered the shrine with a torn skirt, and we see that he has a cursed shackle around his neck, due to being banished from the heavenly realm. Xie Lian covers the shackle with a bandage around his neck. This shackle is what limits his spiritual power. They return to the tea shop the next day to discuss the mission and hear a commotion outside. They see the locals intending to use a fake bride to lure out the ghost groom, as there is now a reward for catching him. Seeing this, Xie Lian decides to dress up as a bride himself to lure out the ghost groom and warns the locals not to do so, as the ghost groom could be dangerous. Xie Lian is helped in his disguise by the woman from earlier, Xiao Ying. He ascends the mountain in a bridal sedan, accompanied by Fu Yao, Nan Feng, and some other men as sedan carriers. Once on the mountain, Xie Lian hears a child's voice singing to him, telling him not to smile. He seems to be the only one who can hear this voice. Xie Lian reveals to the bridal party that he has been smiling this whole time. The sedan is then attacked by wolves and binu, demons that signal the coming of greater evil. Fu Yao and Nan Feng struggle to defeat them, and Xie Lian helps them out using Ruoya, a spiritual device that looks like a long piece of white silk ribbon. Ruoya spends most of its time on Xie Lian's wrist, appearing to be a bandage. Xie Lian instructs Fu Yao and Nan Feng to leave him in the bridal sedan, and the two leave with the rest of the party, the binu chasing them. Not long after, Xie Lian hears a soft chuckle, and a man, dressed in red, enters the sedan. He offers Xie Lian his hand, which Xie Lian accepts, thinking him to be the ghost groom. The man's hand has a red string tied around his third finger. This man leads him through the forest, appearing to be very kind and considerate. He even opens up what appears to be an umbrella to shield Xie Lian from what sounds like rain overhead. Hampered by his bridal veil, Xie Lian can only see the man's shoes, which are black boots with silver chains on them. The chains tinkle as they walk. The man steps on a skull, destroying what seems to have been a powerful array. They continue to walk hand in hand through the forest. Eventually, the man stops and attempts to lift Xie Lian's veil. Xie Lian releases Ruya to bind the man, but the man disappears into a cloud of silver butterflies. Xie Lian realizes that the man has brought him to an abandoned temple. Inside the temple, Xie Lian finds the kidnapped brides. They are standing in the temple in their bridal attire, but they have all been killed. Xie Lian also finds that the locals had followed them up the mountain, hoping to claim the reward. With them is a heavily bandaged boy and Xiao Ying. The locals are convinced that the bandaged boy is the ghost groom, but Xiao Ying explains that he is just a boy with an unspeakable illness. Xiao Ying had been giving him food from time to time and generally taking care of him. Fu Yao and Nanfeng then catch up to them, and Xie Lian also realizes that the rain from before is actually blood dripping out of corpses hung in the trees of the forest. Fu Yao informs him that this is a common trick of the green ghost Qi Rong, one of the 4 most powerful ghosts. When Nanfeng and Fu Yao inquire as to why Xie Lian didn't notice the corpses on his way through the forest, he tells them about the man that led him there. When he describes the butterflies, Fu Yao immediately says that they should return to the heavens, as Xie Lian has no idea what they're dealing with. Xie Lian tells Fu Yao to go back for reinforcements, but he and Nanfeng stay to find the ghost groom. Xie Lian realizes that the ghost groom is actually a ghost bride. The ghost bride is named Xuanji, and she used to be a powerful general in the army. She fell in love with an enemy general, and although they had a relationship, he refused to marry her. She ended up killing herself due to his indifference. That general, named Pei Ming, ended up becoming a heavenly official as well. As a ghost, Xuanji was jealous of the brides who smiled, as General Pei was particularly attracted to women who smiled. She thus kidnapped the brides who smiled, killed them, and kept them in the temple. Xie Lian uses Ruya to create a circle of protection for the locals, the boy, and Xiao Ying, and then battles with Xuanji. During the fight, Xiao Ying jumps in to defend Xie Lian from one of Xuanji's attacks and is killed. Xie Lian also informs Ling Wen of the situation, and she alerts General Pei. A General Pei then descends to assist. Thinking that this is her love, General Pei Ming, Xuanji is overjoyed. However, it turns out that he is the younger relative of General Pei Ming, named Pei Shu, also known as Little Pei. He tells Xuanji that General Pei Ming is busy and does not wish to see her. Distraught, she allows herself to be captured, and Xie Lian, Nanfeng, and the locals all descend the mountain. On their way down, they see that Fu Yao has returned. Xie Lian then asks the bandaged boy to remove his bandages. The boy does so and reveals himself to have the human face disease, something that shocks and torments Xie Lian, bringing up painful memories of his past. Xie Lian's reaction scares the boy, and the boy runs off. Xie Lian is tired and laments that collecting scraps is better than ascension. He then returns to the upper court to give his report, and thus ends the Mount Yujin arc.